Okay. Okay then. Yep, looks like we. Okay, so hi. What we're going to do today is something a little bit different. A little bit different. So, what are we going to do today? What we're going to do today is we're going to primarily start with going through the One D&D Playtest packet. Go thoughts, feelings, initial reactions. I've had a night to sleep on it, and then we're going to do some homework. Partially with a look at, okay, what's this starting to point us towards? Then moving class design towards, because obviously, if we're designing a homebrew class, we also need to be worried about. I'm going to do one little thing quickly just to make it a bit clearer what we're doing. Just add discussion, so it's very clear what we're doing. We're not playing, we're just discussing. So, this is the first part of what's being called One D&D. Do I expect it to be the name that continues? No. I expect they'll probably change their name. What is it though? Okay, so 5th edition, it turns out, has been incredibly popular. As such, it seems they do not want to move to a 6th edition. What they want to do is basically take 5th edition, take all the lessons that they've learned so far, redo the 3 core books of 5th edition with what they've learned. I'd call it 5.5. We'll see what they call it. But they're being very firm in that they don't want to call this a new edition. They're bought D&D Beyond, so they want to use D&D Beyond more. It looks like we might be getting D&D Beyond codes included with physical books. And it also looks like Wizard of the Coast are working on their own VTT, made specifically to work well with D&D. And by the sounds of it, D&D Beyond. So that's all going to be cool and interesting. But for now, they've for the next few months going to put out playtest packets where people can playtest, give feedback on the updated rules. So this is going to be replacing parts of the player's handbook, assuming the changes go through as written. Obviously, this is playtest material. They're going to want feedback. As they always say, numbers are bigger, they'll get shorter. The key thing is, are the ideas reasonable? So this is working out your characters, so you get race, background, language. Cool. Cool. Let's have a look. So every character has a creature type. Yep. Every character has a size. Yep. Speed, lifespan, special traits, your background will give you an ability score. That's neat. I like the idea of putting it behind background. Skill proficiency, tool proficiency, language, feat, equipment. Yep. So let's start with race. So first things first, I really thought they could have maybe changed the name at this point. Race is a very loaded term because of what the real world has put on the term. Ancestry, I would have thought they would have gone with, you have ancestry of X, therefore you get X traits, but here's what is. They have gotten rid of half elf and half orc, which is interesting. You actually see some of the half elf traits in humans, some of the half orc traits in orc. Interesting that humans get to be small now. Yeah, I mean, this is one thing that has stuck out to me. It's been they're very much pushing inspiration. Inspiration used to be very much a optional rule, in that it was dependent on the dungeon master giving you inspiration. Do I personally have an opinion on it being more prevalent? Not really. I mean, humans getting an inspiration whenever they complete a long rest. They get proficiency in a skill of their choice. They gain the skill feat or another first level feat of their choice. Yeah. I mean, it works. It's better than just having +1 in every stat, I'll give them that. Ardling. So Ardlings are... I don't know if Ardlings actually... Let's do a quick search, shall we? Ardling D&D. Do they... Everyone's saying it's new. New. So they might actually be brand new. That's interesting. Thought they might have had some tie to some really old bit of D&D lore. Born on the upper planes, ancestors who originate from there. They have animal heads. The interesting bit is you get to pick a legacy, so you get tied to one of the upper planes, which is appropriate considering Planescape has been confirmed for next year. I'm getting a sense that a lot of races are going to be medium or small. Yeah, because I think tieflings also get to be small. 200 years, oh, always nice. They get to fly. Ooh. I personally have never had a problem giving characters flight at first level, but ooh. Oh wait, no, it's bonus action you get to fly. Okay. You gain a cantrip, you gain some spells later. Spells is nice. Gonna admit, because I've noticed this with a few other of the racial options, they've basically gone, just give them spell casting, and that's cool. But I also kind of like the cool, unique stuff they had, like Azamar had the 3 different kinds of light, depending on what kind of Azamar they were. Have they messed around with Dragonborn? Dragonborn are always medium, okay. You get resistance equal to your damage type, that's same as before, 15-foot cone. As an action, but the damage is better. Hold on, let's have a look. Let's see if I'm being correct on that. So, there's races. Dragon Ball. Okay. Here we go, Brafaka. 2d6, 3d6, 4d6, 5d6. And you're replacing that with, so let's see, maximum damage 5d6 at 16. You're doing 1d10 plus 16. Dragonborn gained dark vision, yay. 1d10 plus 16 is average of 5. That's about 20 damage, whereas 5d6 is average of 3. 5 times 3 is 30. Okay. Did they not update Dragonborn? Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, Draconic Races. Yeah, see, this is the thing. You had, I guess technically you can still use these. I would personally still use. I guess is as they're replacing the one in the PHB, the Dragonborn are good, but I would not want them to remove the 3 chromatic gem and metallic from Fizzbands, because I think personally they're better. I like using your breath weapon as part of an attack action and some of the extra stuff. Yes, you don't get dark vision, but oh well, like, that's not the end of the world. I just found Dragonborn to be interesting. Dwarf. Dark vision. It's the poison. Yep, that's all the same. Okay, so that's yeah, because they've gotten rid of sub races. Where's dwarf? There it is. Because they've gotten rid of sub races, they're kind of mixed. Because where was it? Mountain hill. Yeah, you've got the hill dwarf toughness. You gain a tool proficiency. Now, I will say it's complicated. On the one hand, because their line was you could, with Tasha's, replace any proficiency with an appropriately equivalent proficiency. You gain Tremor Sense. Okay, Stone Cunning is, well, it's better than the old one, which was you get to know how good a rock is. I'm beginning to form an opinion on the PHB, which is, compared to the PHB races, yeah, it's an improvement. Compared to how they've gone ahead with it with the other racial options, it feels like a bit of a disappointment. It feels like this weird middle ground, one step forward, half a step back. In that, really, their thing was like, we're going to not attach proficiencies to your racial options anymore. Because let's be honest, a dwarf that got hit points, got tremor sense, yeah, I'd say they'd still be pretty good. They didn't need this. It feels like a weird, they're trying to have both the cake and eat it. Adventure and charm condition on yourself. Can't be put to sleep. Proficiency in perception. We were getting away with these things. I guess their line would be you still have, because it's backwards compatible, you still have Tasha. So if you don't like proficiency, a racial option gives you, you can still swap it out. And again, they got rid of some of the cool effects for different elves and replaced it with basically you get magic. Drow wood elves get a speed increase. High elves get a cantrip of their choice. Dark elves get dark vision increase. Yeah. I don't know. I feel it loses something when you just go, this option had a cool special flavorful effect. We're going to swap it for have some more spells. No. Small, as expected. They get dark vision, advantage on mental stuff, lineage. You get spells, so you get 2 cantrips with rock. Huh. Okay, interesting. Oh god, I did not notice that rock gnome continued down to it. Oh god. You could cast prestidigitation to create a tiny. Okay. Okay. So gnomes haven't really changed. They've just kind of changed the mechanics a bit. So forest gnome, it's mainly your speak with animals. You can now use your spell slots for. Rock gnomes, you use prestidigitation to get your tinkering. Okay. Brave advantage to avoid end the frightened condition. Yep. I believe that's the same as before. You can move through the space of a creature size larger than you. Oh, you can't stop there. Okay, because I think there was a thing where you could end. Could you end in a space? Or am I misremembering? I thought halflings were one of the ones who could kind of like. Come on. Come on. Halfling traits. Okay, it wasn't specified, whereas now it is specified. You cannot end your turn there. When you roll a 1 on a roll d20, you can re-roll the die. Yep, same as before. Yeah, because they're using the new term d20 test. And a d20 test means an ability score check, attack roll, saving throw. That's cool. Orcs basically is replacing half orc. I'm just going to call it what it is. All of this was basically, it's like they've taken the best bits of the orc and the best bits of the half orc and merged them into one stat package. I don't remember a general rush working like that. That could be different. Powerful build is the same as before. Relentless endurance. Yep. Tiefling has changed because Tiefling was tied to the Nine Hells. They did do a UA for Abyssal Tieflings, but that never got past UA. Whereas now it seems you get to pick. So you can be Abyssal, Chthonic, or Infernal, which is cool. You have Dark Vision. I certainly hope you do. Okay. So the other thing with Infernal Tiefling is they then added a thing going. Basically, you could swap your Infernal Tiefling for one of the different layers, the Nine Hells. It looks like they haven't given you everything, but they've kind of given you some of it, some of what you would have had using an alternate level of hell. Instead, tying you to one of the different planes, you get a different resistance, different cantrip, different spell. That's, yeah, neat. Tiefling didn't really have too much special, so I'm not. It doesn't occur to me that they're really losing anything. The other thing I'm liking is basically if a racial option gives you a spell, you can use your spell slots to cast it. That's just nice. You know, thaumaturgy. Yeah. The other thing that's cool is because they're not tied to a set stat with the race, they're also not tying the spells to a stat you get to pick, which is also cool. Build a background. So here's where you get your stuff. What I like is this bit, because basically, here are some backgrounds, and they'll be probably listed in the book. But the nice thing is they do say you can customize a pre-made background or make a brand new one. It's like, yes, thank you, good. You took away the level of options that we had when you gave us Tashes and went just every race is +2, +1, have your pick. But I mean, tying it to background I think is good. It means those who are very much like, I want it tied to something, I don't want it to be a free choice. It's like, well, cool, we've tied it to background now. Makes sense. Background is going to have more of a determination of what you are than what you're born to. Gain 2 skill proficiencies. Pick a tool. Interesting. So not every background gave you a tool proficiency. Now it seems every character will know at least 2 skills, a tool, a language, and defeat from their background. Certain racial options seem to give you a language, and then you get a language for free. So you could start with 2 or 3 languages, which is about the same, I think. That's what you started with before, so there isn't much change there. More people having tool proficiencies, always cool. Tools I find are very good for giving you roleplay. Here we go. So since 2014, characters use score from several sources, either race or from ability score rules and tashes. If you make a character using older sources and get ability score increases from that, it doesn't get it from the background. That makes sense. Unless you forego the old one. Okay. Perfectly reasonable. The most interesting thing, I think, is so backgrounds used to give you a little fluffy effect. They've taken that away, but instead they have gone, you get a feat, which is interesting. It's interesting. Criminal gives you Thieves' Cant. So Thieves' Cant is no longer just a thing rogues can take, which is interesting. I think that's kind of cool. Farmer, guard. Okay, I think backgrounds are fine. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it might have been better just to go pick a language rather than. So starting languages, I like this. I like the fact common sign language is just a thing. It's not race specific. It's just common. It's like cool. This is good. It seems now they're pushing Druidic and Thieves' Cant as a thing, not just the class can learn. Also good. Feats is interesting because feats never used to have a level. It used to just be you could take the feat unless the prerequisite specifies a level. So that's interesting. Yeah, as they say here, prerequisites. Yeah. And then is it repeatable? Which is cool. So alert has been nerfed for good reason. It used to be you got a +5 to your initiative rolls. Now it's a bit more balanced. It's just you get your proficiency bonus in initiative. It also was you couldn't be surprised, whereas now it's after your own initiative. You can give someone else. You can swap initiatives with another person, which is cool. Gives you a bit of control of the battlefield. Crafter. You get a tool proficiency in 3 different tools. That's nice. Whenever you buy a non-magical item, you get a 20% discount. What? What? That's really good for a feat. And I'm not sure as a dungeon master how I feel about that. Though it is non-magical. Fast crafting. When you craft an item, you reduce the time taken by 20%. That's just cool. Healer. So, actually, this is going to be interesting. Let's take a look. So, yeah, we had alert. Can't be surprised. Other creatures don't get advantage as a result of being unseen. I think new alert is more fair and balanced, especially for a first level feat. Crafter didn't exist. That's cool. Is there no artisan? No, it doesn't seem there was any kind of artisan feat. Unless someone can spot it. Like, was Prodigy maybe? You got tool proficiency. Yeah, crafting is new and different. Healer. So healer used to be you can use a healing kit to stabilize a creature. Oh no, sorry. When you use it to stabilize, the creature gains a hit point. As an action, you can use a healer's kit to restore some hit points. It was okay, but not very much used. Let's see what they've done now. When you have a healer's kit, you can expend a use to tend to a creature within 5 feet of you as an action. It can expend a hit die. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's a lot better than if a creature's dying, you stabilize it and get it to 1 hit point. Plus the proficiency bonus. Oh my god. Healer is cool. Whenever you roll a die, determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell. Reroll the die if it rolls a 1. Oh, that's cool. Lucky has been nerfed for good reason. So Lucky was... You had 3 luck points. Whenever you made a roll, after seeing the roll, you could take a luck point to re-roll the die. Sorry, no, that isn't how that works. You rolled the luck die. You then looked at the 2 results and picked which one you wanted to use. The reason this was important was, say you had disadvantage. You'd have to roll the d20 dice, pick the lowest. You then roll lucky. Lucky isn't under the rule of disadvantage, so you could pick between these 2, and it's just, oh. And then you could use a luck point to give someone disadvantage against you. That's all they've done here, is you get luck points, you just give advantage, disadvantage, which means it no longer has weird interactions with advantage. I mean, it's still useful. 3... Oh no, your proficiency bonus number of times a long rest, you could just give yourself advantage. That's just useful. I think it's balanced, I think it's fair, and it's useful. Magic Initiate was... Choose a first level spell. Oh yeah, you get to pick a class, pick 2 cantrips from the spell list, you get a first level spell. Now you're picking between 3 spell lists: Arcane, Divine, Primal. Gain the following benefits related to the choice. You learn 2 cantrips of your choice. Choose a first level spell from the spell list. You always have that spell prepared. Cast it once without a spell slot. You can also cast it using spell slots. That's cool. I think that fits with how they're doing spells now, in that if you gain it from another thing, you get some charges, you get some free uses, and then you know it to cast it with your spell slots. I have no problem with that. You get to pick your spell casting ability. It's no longer determined by the class you pick. That's also cool. The not having class spell lists is interesting. I'm interested in how they deal with that, because obviously they'll probably replace the PHB spells, maybe some of the other spells from like Elemental Evil and stuff that was free. I wonder if they'll include spells from the other published books, because if they don't, how are they gonna determine which class has access to the spells? Unless they errata them, or they just go, you get kind of the main list, which is Arcane, Divine, Primal, and then you go, cool, here's a couple of extra spells for your class. Musician. I think we have a musician. Do we not have a musician? No, we don't have a musician. Okay, you get musical instruments. This gets the inspiring leader. You could spend 10 minutes to give 6 creatures temporary hit points. Whereas now it seems it's finish a short, long rest, play a song, and give inspiration to your allies. You give them all advantage. Equal to your proficiency points. That's cool. Savage attacker. Oh, hold on. When you take the attack action, hit a target, you can roll the weapon's damage twice. That's because old Savage Attacker was... Oh, no. I must be thinking of a different thing. That is basically the same thing. When you roll damage of a melee weapon, you can re-roll the damage dice and use either total. Huh. It's a bit wordier. So here they're specifying 1, it has to be a weapon, and 2, it has to be the attack action, which is fair, I guess. Skilled. You get free proficiencies. Yeah, exactly the same. No, they pick 3 skills which you lack proficiency. Tavern Brawler. This one's changed. Because Tavern Brawler used to be your strength increases by 1 or your con increases by 1. You're proficient with improvised weapons. Unarmed strike is a d4. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or improvised weapon, bonus action to grapple. So now it's when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can do 1d4 plus your strength. When you roll a damage die for unarmed strike, re-roll the die if it's a 1. Okay. So, slight improvement in that you get the d4 as before, but now you also get re-rolls. When you hit it as an unarmed strike as part of the attack action, you can shove them. Ooh, that's good. Furniture as weapons. You can rule furniture as a weapon. Use the rules for Great Club. Huh. That's neat. So you no longer have proficiency in improvised weapons. You just treat an improvised weapon as a club. Yeah, perfectly reasonable. Tough. Hit point maximum increase amount equal twice your character level. It's exactly the same. A lot of these are exactly the same. Have they gotten rid of any of the PHB? PHB might be some of the feats from the PHB. They're not showing yet because they have yet to be changed. Yes, they haven't got athlete. They haven't got athlete. They haven't got actor. Have got charger. They've kind of pushed the shove into the tavern brawler. Not got crossbow expert, not got defense. You've not got a lot. Unless they think the other ones are worth just keeping as they are. Which, considering a lot of them are like gain of proficiency and stuff, isn't. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be upset if they stayed. So here's where we get interesting. So the new rules glossary. So Bards, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards use arcane, as do artificers. Arts and tools. Yep. Oh, they now cost 15 gold apiece. What did they cost before? Tools. Oh god, yeah, they cost such a wide variety of things. Like one costs 1, one costs 50. So now it's just they all cost 50. Okay, that's reasonable. Creature type. Every creature in D&D is creature type. You're mostly humanoid, but you might be something else. They list them all. I don't think there's anything new here. Yeah, for example, cube specifies does benefit a construct. Construct? It doesn't say undead. Interesting. D20 test. Yeah, it comes to the 3 main checks: ability, attack, save, throw. If something in the game affects the D20 test, it affects all 3 rolls. Ah, yeah, see, this is important. The DM determines whether a D20 test is warranted in a circumstance. To be warranted, it must have a target number no less than 5, no greater than 30. Roll a 1 is an automatic fail. Roll a 20 is an automatic success. See, I wasn't sure how I felt about auto pass, auto fail, but I've slept on it, I've thought about it. My initial response was, oh god, no. And then I sat there going, wait a minute, no. Here's the way you've got to think about it. Before, I would say the way to think about it was you roll the test. They want to roll the test, let them roll it. If it's difficult, just set the number high. Obviously, if it's impossible, still don't let them roll it. But if there was a chance, you let them roll it. And I'm sat there going, well, nothing's really changed. If you're sat there going, no, they shouldn't be allowed to do the thing on a natural 20, well, in that case, you shouldn't be letting them roll. You should just say, no, you can't do the thing. It is impossible. If a natural 20 shouldn't auto succeed an action, then that action shouldn't be being carried out in the first place. Yeah, it just changed. I think it's going to be a change of how DMs think rather than this being a bad rule. Yeah, your target numbers being no less than 5, no greater than 30, perfectly reasonable. If it's less than 5, you should just say you do it. You don't need a test. If it's shouldn't be succeeded on if it needs over a 30, or it shouldn't be auto succeeded on that 20, don't let them do it. It's impossible. This bit is interesting. A character gains inspiration when rolling a natural 20. I'm not opposed to this. And here's why. Here's why I'm not opposed to it. I've played other RPGs. Sin, I know. I've played other RPGs. And often there's a thing of kind of the way they tend to do success is like you succeed at the thing, but, or you fail at the thing, but. So I kind of see it as, yeah, you've succeeded at the thing and set yourself up for a future success. Now, if they keep that inspiration the entire day, it kind of loses its moment. But if they're kind of in like a skill check where they're doing like a bunch of tests, one after the other to do a thing, it's like, well, yeah, you complete the role, you dodge past that trap, and now you're ready to leap past the next thing, or jump, or attack, or whatever. I'm not opposed to it. I think it makes inspiration much more a part of the game than it was in earlier 5th edition. As I said before, it was an optional rule. I am not opposed to it. Not opposed. Not opposed. I'm not averse to this kind of thing going on. I'm getting myself confused. Rolling a 20 doesn't bypass limitations on tests such as range and line of sight. Yep, that's fine. It only bypasses bonuses and penalties to the roll. Yeah. So a D10 success would succeed if the reason you would fail is a difficulty modifier, such as the floor is slippery, or the person knows that you stabbed his brother. But if it's because they're too far away or line of sight, it ain't going to change anything. Critical hits. Weapons and unarmed strikes have special feature for players. Now, this is interesting. Spells don't get critical hits. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It helps weapons be unique, and it kind of... You have the, what was it? Linear fighter quadratic mage. So I can see why they've done that. I'm not sure how I feel. Because a lot of spells don't care because they make you do saving throws, especially at high level. But I'm also sat there going, yeah, but some do make you do attack rolls. And it's still cool as the wizard to get like, I rolled a natural 20 on my thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. If a character rolls a 20 for an attack with a weapon or armed strike, the attack is also a critical hit. This deals extra damage. You roll the damage dice of the weapon a second time. Okay, so there was kind of always the discussion of, do you double the number or do you roll again? Here they're just saying roll again. They probably said roll it again before, but I always remember it's kind of interesting of, do you double it, do you roll again? You roll the damage dice of the weapon. Oh. See, now the interesting thing here is it's a slight change. It's a little change. There was kind of a thing where it was you would say, for example. Actually, no, I'm not sure that would. I guess the example I would give is, say, for example, you had an ability that gave you a D6 on slashing weapon attacks, and the weapon had its normal damage and fire damage. I would before it would have kind of been, well, all of the dice are doubled. Whereas here it's like, no, the weapon's damage dice are doubled. So if the weapon has a magical extra component, like it does an extra 1d6 against undead, that would still double. But if you were using an ability that gave, from your class, for example, that gave an extra load of dice, Paladin Smite, for example, that would not double on a critical hit. Yeah. It kind of limits the peaks of what it can happen. Obviously, the biggest change here is the fact they're intending for it to be player characters only. I don't know how I feel about that. My personal thought is, I think if an NPC is named or legendary or mythic, it probably should be allowed to critical hit. Goblin number 5, perhaps not. I don't know. I would want to actually play test that to see how it feels. But I think that might be a better way of doing it, is going monsters that aren't like special don't get critical hit. That I could kind of see, or are not being the boss of the encounter. I'd maybe go like in the DMG encounter design, like certain monsters can crit if they meet the criteria. Gaming set. Grapple condition. Grapple has changed, and I think for the better. Let me just go rules. Player's handbook. Could you give me just a moment, everyone? For some reason, my mouse has decided it does not want to appear on the screen, and I don't know why it's gone invisible. That's bloody annoying. So I might have to... Okay, so grappled is... Speed becomes 0, cannot benefit from bonus to speed. Condition ends if grappler is incapacitated. Whereas now it's your speed is 0, you have disadvantage attack rolls of the grappler. The grappler can move you, and it solidifies how escaping works. Incapacitated, you can't take actions, reactions, your concentration is broken, you can't speak. If you're incapacitated when you roll initiative, you have disadvantage on the roll. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna have to go on break a sec, everyone. Okay. Are we back? Good. Sorry about that, family. Right, okay. Long rest. Okay. Incapacitated. I think it's generally the same. Yeah, before it was contact actions, reactions, it's basically been specified to concentrate. Basically, a load of other rules that said. So it used to be like spell casting would say you couldn't concentrate when incapacitated. Surprised had its own thing. Now it's just all under incapacitated. So I think surprised was. Oh no, it wasn't a condition. Okay. Inspiration. So this is giving yourself advantage on a D20 test. Yep. Can't have more than one at a time. If you get extra, you can give it to another player. You used to be able to give it to another player anyway. I think it's new that if you already have one, you can just give it. If you still have it. That one's new. If you have inspiration at the start of a long rest, you lose it. So that encourages you to, well, use it. Okay. That's cool. Long rest is a period of downtime of at least 8 hours. That's the same, I think. You gain or lost hit points, spent hit dice up to half of them. Can't do longer. Yep. Yes, I think the 1 hit point was still a thing before. If a long rest is interrupted by combat, or 1 hour of walking, casting spells, similar activity, the rest confers no benefit. Resting. I just need to check they're all the long rest. Rest is interrupted by period of strenuous activity, at least an hour of walking, fighting. Okay. Because the way I'm reading this, if your DM drops on you a combat encounter, because in the old rules it was an hour of fighting, now it is any combat, and your long rest is interrupted. So if a DM just throws at you a night encounter, which is classic, a nighttime ambush, you don't get a long rest. You get a short rest, but you've got to restart your long rest. I'm not sure how I feel about that. This, I think, is something I want clarification on. Musical instruments, yeah, 20 GP apiece, okay. Slowed. Was slowed a thing? I feel like it's a condition, but I just wanna... No, slowed is a new condition. Interesting. You must spend an extra foot of movement for every foot you move. So you half your movement. Attack rolls have advantage, you have disadvantage. Okay. Ooh, this is new. If you have proficiency with a tool, you add your proficiency bonus to the ability check you make with the tool. If you have proficiency in the skill, you have advantage. Ah. That's neat. Shepson's has really changed. Unarmed strike. Grapple is now part of an unarmed strike. Okay, its target is grappled. Okay, grapple I think is a little bit nicer. Interesting. Overall, I think it's not too bad. I think some of this I really like. Moving grapple to here is nice. Tool proficiency change, yes please. Slowed, cool, yeah. The simplifying of the spell lists. If the classes make up for the lack of uniqueness, I think it'll be cool. Simplifying tools, not making them vary in price and stupidly expensive, always good. Rest is the only thing I think I'm feeling controversial about. It's controversial. Everything else is kind of a, yeah, at the end of the day, I quite like it. Generally, I would say I think all of this is an improvement over what the PHB currently offers. I think not all of it is good compared to some of the more recent books, but I think compared to the PHB of the past, definite improvement. That's my opinion anyway. Um, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna think we're gonna call it here actually instead of doing homebrew design, primarily because it's getting on in time. The phone call from family kind of threw me through one, and yeah, I need to think about some of the things I've read here. Um, definitely interesting. Definitely interested to see where this goes. We'll probably do more of these in the future when more of these come out. Just like talking about it. As always, every week we will be trying to do something games design, world build, DM prep. So yeah, I will see you all tomorrow for an FF14 stream. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining. And let's see if there is anyone to raid. Just double check. Yep. Let's go raid W Sheeper, who is doing some Resident Evil. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for joining.